for me, what really helps me, what helps me understand all of this is just first you gotta acknowledge that the trauma is real. You know what I'm saying? We tend to, especially as men, you know, we tend to be like, man, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I try to power through it. And even sometimes when you try to, you know, maybe bring it up to relatives and they might try to downplay and be like, oh, it ain't as bad as you remember, or it wasn't all that. Both sides, you know, we gotta acknowledge for ourselves what I went through is real. And what happened was real. You know what I'm saying? That it had to be that openness and that transparency. And then after you get that down, you gotta acknowledge, okay, that trauma didn't just appear out of thin air. And it's almost like a trauma trail. Trauma doesn't just come out of nowhere. Hurt people hurt people. So the people that might have hurt me at some point definitely experienced some trauma on their own. And that trail definitely goes beyond them. The people that hurt them will probably hurt themselves. And we don't have to, you know, we all know what happened several hundred years ago. That was a trauma factory. And so it's plenty enough trauma to go around. And so at some point I have to say, when do I stop the cycle of trauma and start substituting that with grace? You know what I'm saying? And so, because as I said, hurt people hurt people. And we all went through these real experiences and we're justified in being hurt, but we're not justified in not doing something about it and making sure that the future generations aren't hurt by our mistakes and our lack of acknowledging that we're hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So, okay. No, I get that. I feel like, and, you know, kind of piggying back to Cuz, like, I get what you're saying, Cuz, but it's like, it's, yes, it's a way for you to kind of get past it and say, okay, I'm not going to let someone have, you know, this hold on me, right? Because you're hurt and you're not getting past the pain. But how do you, I guess, you know, to see that and get past that, like, what are things that you kind of do? Because I'm gonna speak for me, like, the only thing that I know how to do is cut you off. Like, if you did me dirty, I'm not, you know, y'all know me, I don't care if you're my family. Like, if you did me dirty and you don't acknowledge it and you don't say, hey, I'm sorry, I know what I did to you was wrong, I want us to get past it and I want us to move forward. If you can't acknowledge that to me, because we family, you're supposed to love me, right? If you can't do that, then there's no place for you in my life. So for you not to go as extreme as me, because I may be a little extreme, I cut you off. How do you have a relationship, you know, with them, a cordial relationship without cutting them off, and but you still kind of have that trauma, or them, how am I trying to say this? Talking to them brings that trauma back up, because, you know, we know a crackhead, the only way that a crackhead can really go into remission is also, you know, of course, to put the pipe down, but you got to get away from the crackheads. You can't be in the same spot with the crackheads like you used to be, right? Because otherwise that's temptation. You're going to fall right back into the same situation. So how are you able to be in the heat of the fire, but move differently?
Right. So,
okay, so you asking Keon that, or are we spinning that around?
I want everybody to kind of, I want us to kind of talk on that.
Okay, so I'll jump out there and then we can keep the rotation. So for me, that's a good question. So for me, it's not a perfect formula or nothing like that. It's kind of figure things out as you go. But what I've seen that has worked for me is it's because basically what you're pointing at is trigger points. Mm-hmm. So you can have a trauma and you can get on the other side of it, but there's certain things if you set up in your environment, it could be trigger points. Mm-hmm. And so the first step is like being aware that you have triggers. And it's okay to have triggers, but now you're more aware of those triggers. And so sometimes you have to structure your life in a way that those triggers don't happen as often, especially like if it's a trigger and you're going to blow up or something like that. But I did a lot of work with a coach some time ago, and we talked about those things, that very thing that you're talking about. And so sometimes it's just because it's family or it's an old friend, sometimes as long as you've done everything that you can and you know you're not holding like anything against that person as it relates to like you feeling some type of way, you angry at them, you're past that stage and you've extended olive branches as much as you like. Well, first thing you have to understand, do I even want to repair this situation? Because you can forgive someone and just like say, hey, look, I have nothing against you, but I'm moving in a different direction. And so you have to come to these realizations on your own. Are you fighting for a relationship that you really don't even really want to have? Like, that's not really going to lead to anything. But so for me, I could tell you what practical things that I've done for the people that I want to have a relationship with, even if there's still some triggering things that happen. I'm aware of those things, and if I made the decision that I want to have those relationships, I'm very intentional on my environment in terms of how often I'm exposed to those triggers. So if I know if I'm building the muscle and I really want to have a relationship, but there's some triggering things that are happening, we may not be talking every day. I want you in my life, but we may be talking once a month. We might be talking once a week. It might be twice. I don't know. But so once again, I want to have the relationship. Because I have scenarios and family members that I'm not close with, and I genuinely have nothing against them. I've literally exhausted the olive branch, so I don't feel any type of way or feel guilt, shame, or why aren't we talking anymore? And I've reached out, and I just came to the conclusion, like, extended grace. They are who they are. I don't expect them to be me, but I got to keep moving. And that toxic and is something going on with them that I can't control. I can only control me. So I can't control what they have going on, but I made sure I did what I could do, and then I moved on. And that's what it is. And if I see you, I come visit. Hey, what's good? Hey, how are you? How you doing? But maybe that person wasn't meant to be in my life, and I'm okay with that. It was a point because it was a family. We're family, so I gotta force this to work. But they're humans too. Yes, the family label, but heck, it's other people that aren't my family that has become my family, and it's more of a connection there. So I extend family beyond my immediate family, not to disassociate with them. But if you want to have a relationship with me, we'll have one. Well, it takes two people for a relationship to happen, not just one. And so, I have to be an example. I'm always chasing growth. So a part of growth is forgiving. A part of ascending as that next level man is, despite someone hurting me,